It's August 15th, 2021. I'm Bill from CruiseHabit.com, and this week from Delray Beach in the world of cruising, we're discussing recent embarkation issues on some cruise lines, a big update on Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings' legal battle with the state of Florida, and recent COVID cases on a Carnival ship. First, though, a surprising fact about 28 ships scheduled for delivery this year. P&O Iona, MSC Seashore, and Scarlet Lady are three brand new ships to start sailing recently, but there are many more to come. 28 cruise ships are scheduled for delivery from shipyards in 2021, representing a guest capacity of almost 38,500. Several of these ships, including the recently launched Carnival Mardi Gras and P&O Iona, run on liquefied natural gas. 18 of the ships carry fewer than 500 guests, meaning the impressive pace of growth in the small ship expedition and luxury lines continues. My take: as fleets return but global travel ramps up at a slower pace, the new builds will add additional capacity that may lead to some more competitive fares. Now, if lines are compelled to keep capacities low due to COVID, it also means we could see compelling singles rates because ships won't have shortages of staterooms even if they're keeping overall capacities low. In fact, we recently highlighted some of these singles rates over on our deals page. Now, regardless of rates and fares, we look forward to many cruisers emerging from personal dry dock and getting to see many new ships. The growth of luxury cruising is especially appropriate as global events which tend to slow travel, like political unrest and economic downturns, often don't impact affluent travelers quite as much. I'd personally love to try out some of these smaller ships and see what has evolved in a part of cruising that many of us, including myself, tend to overlook. This week, Virgin Voyages' Scarlet Lady set sail for the first time, and Disney Cruise Lines returned to service with Disney Dream. But guests on both ships faced some embarkation protocol issues relating to testing, vaccine documentation, and such. Social media reports gave varying accounts, but as many as 200 guests were turned away from Disney Dream at Port Canaveral for not having adequate documentation. Over in Portsmouth, England, guests waiting to board Scarlet Lady waited for hours to get their test results before being permitted to board. My take: every time a new line, ship, or port begins operating again, we're bound to see hiccups in the process. Years ago, we wrote that some guests may want to simply avoid maiden voyages altogether as bugs are ironed out, and the situation with the restart of cruising may be very similar. The good news is that these challenges tend to be ironed out very quickly. Those on the second Scarlet Lady sailing reported embarkation was a lot faster. MSC Meraviglia didn't see the same challenges as some other ships, but the 1 or 2 hour embarkation times, which included testing at the port, seemed to be cut in half more recently. And to be frank, this comes back to the same thing we've said before. While cruising right now is better than ever, you still need to pack a little bit of patience and be flexible. Check frequently for emails and text messages from tour operators or other contacts, and book with a good travel agent that can help you navigate the waters. Carnival Vista has received a lot of attention after 26 crew members and 1 guest reportedly test positive for COVID on a recent cruise out of Galveston, Texas. This despite all crew and 95% of guests being fully vaccinated against COVID-19. The majority of those infected were asymptomatic and suffering only mild effects. All unvaccinated guests were tested for COVID prior to disembarkation from that cruise. Subsequent cruises continued to run as scheduled, with ports of call continuing to allow guests to disembark as planned. My take: I don't endeavor to talk about every ship infection. They're just going to keep happening, and the goal is to keep community spread and severity as low as possible. This time, though, the number did seem worth mentioning. At first, because 27 seemed a high number to me. And of course, it's possible that some guests may have even tested positive after disembarking, so the number may have actually been higher. We don't know. Carnival has been sailing at 70% capacity, higher than other cruise lines. And it's hard not to suspect that the increased density is a contributing factor. After doing some math, though, I started to wonder what is acceptable in the current circumstance, which of course is not my call at all to make. At 70% capacity, the infection rate on that sailing works out to about 0.69%. Compare this to Celebrity Edge several weeks ago, reporting 7 infections, and that's a rate of 0.25%. As Carnival and the CDC continue to monitor rates on future sailings, it seems likely they'll be assessing what, if anything, needs to be done to keep numbers as reasonably low as possible. Will capacity limits be modified? Might this have been an anomaly and we don't see it repeated often? Will more lines disallow unvaccinated persons, even children? It's just too early to tell, but the bottom line is that vaccinated persons remain less likely to get infected and far less likely to suffer significant illness. So please get vaccinated. A federal judge in Miami has granted Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings an injunction, allowing the line to require guests to provide proof of vaccination in order to sail, despite Florida's so-called vaccine passport ban. The judge cited a number of NCLH's points that she felt were legally valid, including claims that the state was interfering with interstate commerce, which per the Commerce Clause is regulated by Congress only. Florida has already started the process to appeal, but the injunction means that NCL's first cruise out of Florida will be able to sail as planned today, August 15th, out of Miami. My take. To many, this ruling is not surprising, and while we have greater detail on the judge's decision over at cruisehabit.com, you can check the links below, this is great news for Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania Cruises, and Regent Seven Seas Cruises, especially as some cruisers have chosen these lines specifically based on their commitment to sailing fully vaccinated. It's not clear, even among attorneys, whether or not the injunction means that other cruise lines or even non-cruise related businesses may now require proof of vaccination in the state of Florida. For cruise lines, at least, it would seem a formality, as they could simply petition for their own injunctions. With the pandemic continuing to rage, especially here in Florida, where many ships are based, it wouldn't seem shocking if some lines updated their vaccine requirements, even if only on some ships, giving cruisers a wider range in COVID protocol options. Check out our updates from Mariner of the Seas simulated voyage this past week on cruisehabit.com. Next week, we'll be reporting from the Yacht Club on MSC Meraviglia. You can find links to relevant content in the descriptions below. Leave a comment and let us know what you think about Billy's Cruise Take series and what you'd like to see. For more cruise tips and information, be sure to like this video, click below to subscribe to the cruisehabit.com YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and check out cruisehabit.com. We look forward to talking ship with all of you real soon.